俺はモンキー D ルフィ、よろしく。俺はモンキー D ルフィ、よろしく。
So I'm back with another rig. Just want to show you guys some behind the scenes. At first glance, a lot of layers. But usually all these will be shied away. All these layers were just turned on because I wanted to add some motion blur to the final result. But yeah, usually you'll just have your controllers turned on. So completed rig, and I thought I wanted to do a nice little animation just to show like some of the functionality. You can see a slight customization to my normal UI to suit Luffy's look and feel. Turn his hat off. Yeah, just want to show some of the layers that I keyed. So not a lot going on, but just enough just so you can give a nice introduction. So this rig and animation will be up on my Patreon. So to everyone that support me, you can grab this rig right away. But for everyone watching, I do want to give like a little tutorial. I have been asked to give a tutorial on some stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the rig without the animation, just so you can see like the inner workings, and if you are like one of my patrons, just how to work the rig itself and how to tear it apart, how to break it apart. But yeah, for all my patrons, I'll upload both the Illustrator file and the After Effects file. Let me take you to the rig without the animation. So let's start from left to right. So here we have his little lip sync control. You will see I have like these nulls floating around for each thing. So what these nulls do, if you are animating, say you want the lip sync closer to the rig and you're sitting like in this view and you really just want to focus on the face, with these nulls you can actually move your whole lip sync UI closer. You can overlap the character, just so that to make it easier for you, so you don't have to go with how it's laid out here. You can move this around. If it's in your way, move it away. You can move it around to wherever you want. Same goes for all of these. They'll be moved around. As you can see, as I'm moving things around, you can see it's like rendering like the current scene every time. Let's not work on full. But yeah, this rig's already quite heavy. And it just has like a front and a quarter front. I modified the face control a bit, so you can see I just have front and quarter front, and the body is also just a front and quarter front. So this version of Luffy is quite detailed. After finishing it, I realized I should have just gone with the early seasons where he had the closed jacket and a bit less detail on his on his whole outfit. This one, all the detail, when you move things, all that detail needs to be animated. But yeah, even though this rig only has like front quarter front, that shouldn't stop you from breaking it and getting more views out. So you can see all my compositions over here. Access to the head composition, just double click there. And if you want, you can just go in and disable whatever code there is. Because like, say you want to fiddle around, you want to break things, then save a new version, mess around, see what you can break, see what you can push. Especially if you're animating, like there's always this misconception that the rig will just do everything that the animator needs. In most cases, the rig will do most of what you need, but if it doesn't, that shouldn't stop you from using your own creativity. And like in my experience, you always have to break the rig. Certain poses the rig just won't go into nicely, and then you would have to break the rig. So like with this one, currently it's only this foot, and he only goes into quarter front. But if you wanted to and you get a nice reference for your side view, you could just go in and craft a side view over this, and you can animate him into the side view. Like, you don't have to go with what with how the rig is. You can break it to what you need. So as you can see, I'm using the duik auto rigger for his body. Works really nice. I like the movement that I got out of it. Felt really good. I wanted to do more like an up and down view for his hat. So currently it's just the hat that turns with the head. I will create more versions as we go along. I do want to make a full turnaround, but yeah, that will probably be the heaviest version. But eventually I do want to have a full at least 180 turnaround, so from front to back. Turn that off. On these eyebrows, I put some hidden extra controls in the effects controls. So if you click on one of the eyebrow controllers, you'll see a little slide here, and this allows you to like just get some more expression out of his eyebrows. So if you wanted to make him look sad, I also have sad or concerned. Also have like a little switch to change his mouth from happy to sad, and you can see his lip sync changes with it as well. And you can switch him back to happy. There you go. And we'll just switch to like whatever mouth it's on. Maintain. I went with the smooth lip sync, so all his lip sync was made to transition smooth in and out from left to right. But if you go up and down, it will like snap into the next mouth. So when you're animating, it's best to, so if you key the different vowels and the different sounds, then just place an in between so you can get a nice in between. If you're going from this to a different mouth, then you just look for like the in between of that, so you can get a smoother lip sync, so it doesn't look too snappy. But if you're keying from left to right, it will be perfectly smooth. If you're going up and down, just find like a nice happy middle. Yeah. Let me get into some stuff I wanted to show. So this is how it looks in Illustrator. So as you can see, this is it's not the same layout. This is how I had it originally. I wanted to be able to go to front to the right and go to front to the left, and the head be able to look all around the front view. But I ended up not doing that because I saw how heavy the rig was with just the two views. So I thought, okay, let's try a different approach when we do that, just so that it's still usable for everyone else. I find when the character is this detailed, the best approach might not be smooth head turns or smooth body turns. The best approach might be body swaps, and just swaps with everything. So instead of like the body smooth in transition, it just swaps to a quarter front or a side or a back. Perhaps the head can still be a smooth turn, but yeah, just depends on how detailed the head is, and he is very detailed. I got all these different hair pieces on, so layer the shadow, so that if you're in the rig and you want to animate those pieces, you can do that. So all of them are moving according to the code on the path. So there's a duik code on the path using the connector. But if you wanted, you could key the position, you could move these out of place and it will still work. So just if you want like a different look, or just disable the path if you really want to mess up his head. The path expression, sorry. So yeah, I want to do a tutorial, one just to build a UI, and one where we just rig him together with swaps. So you can see on this rig, he only has like this fist that I made, but I actually built his hands in a way I built his hands in a way that all of his digits are on its own layers. So I didn't want to like full on rig each and every digit, because again I didn't want to add more weight to the rig. But if you wanted to get other hand shapes, you could just make it so moving some digits around, turning off shadows, adding shadows, like you could just make new hand shapes. So then you can unshy everything. Let's just give him a different expression. So if you're looking for another hand, you can just unshy everything, find out where the right hand is sitting. So over there, and then over here in the composition, you want to duplicate from here. If you duplicate from here, it's a clone of this comp. So that means if you change anything in one of the comps, it updates in both. So you don't really want to do that. You actually want to do duplicate. So you want to do it in your project window, and then bring it in. And you can just solo these two by hitting the solo buttons on the side, and then just more or less lining it up with lining the new one up with the old one. Now if you want to go and manipulate this hand to look different, so let's just move some fingers. Didn't mean to be a middle finger, but okay. Now you can have another hand that's independent from the hand that's already there. So this is how you can create like multiple hands just using this one hand, since all the digits are separated. So save you time from redrawing or drawing new hands and creating new hands. Just because the workflow in After Effects, you have to, it's best to create the hands in Illustrator and push it over, but if you like, you could just make it in After Effects and bring your hand reference into After Effects, whatever you find is easiest. But for this rig, I tried to make it as easy as possible. For if you want to create different hand shapes, you can just manipulate the digits that are there already. Each one of these controllers have been zeroed, so if you want them to go back to the position they originally were, you just type in 0, 0, and that's it. Even on this, back 0. The blinks, the way I made the blinks, if you push the blink controller up, the eyelid it has like a blink when the eyelid comes down. If you push it down, here's where his eyelid is shaped up. So a nice invert, but yeah, so you can have 2 different blinks depending on which expression you want to do or what mood he's in. And yeah, that's pretty much the rig. So I can give a small tutorial if you've watched this far, just something on how to constrain objects to a bounding box. So let's just make a new composition. So let's just I'm going to bring this object in. So let's bring in this object. And let's bring in this guy. So this plugin I'm using is called Overload. Very handy for pushing vectors straight from Illustrator right into After Effects, just like that. So now I didn't have to go bring in the Illustrator file first, then convert. I could just push it straight through. Okay, let's just scale these guys up. So I created null just so I can scale them both up uniformly. Just delete my null. Okay. So creating one of these things is as easy as just pulling out a shape. You can create your own unique UI. Duik itself comes with different tools that you can create, like a nice user interface for yourself. It has a bounding box, it has all that, but it's very plain, which is fine. I think it's a lot more lightweight as well, being the way it is. But if you want like a very unique looking one and you want your own UI, especially if you're working on a series and you want like a certain look for your UI, or just for yourself, then yeah, easy, just create in Illustrator or in Photoshop or in anything, just as long as you're working on layers. And just you need to plan out what you're gonna need beforehand. So if you know you want to move his face, you're gonna need a face controller. Whatever, if you want to move his bottom and top eyelids independently, you can split it up. So here my initial plan was that to move it independently, but then afterwards, as you saw, I went with just the normal blink, one controller for blink, because I felt as I was working on it, it felt more convenient to do it that way. Anyway, it's not get sidetracked. So yeah, you want to make your own UI, pretty much whatever software suits you, work in layers, name your layers, and then you can bring it into After Effects. And if you want to constrain it to your interface, so you want to constrain your controllers to your interface, what I do is I put in a little script on the position. So if you have duik, you can have access to this little function called add zero, which is super handy to zero out your controllers or zero out your object, so that it's nice. You can always work from zero, and it's easy when you're doing like some calculations, especially like when rigging. If you don't have access to duik, this expression will work exactly the same. So let me show you without zeroing first. So to apply an expression, you want to alt click on the stopwatch, and then what we want to do, we want to tell this controller that it's not allowed to leave this bounding box area. So we want it to stay within this area. Okay. So what we're going to do is we want to constrain the X position and the Y position. X on the left, Y on the right. And the way we do that is I'll click the stopwatch and you'll get this little dialog box that comes here. This is like a big dialog box. This allows you to type in code or expressions in After Effects. So now what we want to do is we want to type in X clamp equals clamp brackets transform full stop position, because that's what we're clamping. We want to clamp the X position. So square brackets. The square brackets is to represent I'm just starting with 0, so just so that these values we're going to change afterwards. I'll just copy and paste it because I just want to change this to Y. There we go. Oh, and change this to 1 because the way After Effects reads, it reads the X as 0 and it reads the Y as 1. Now we want to establish, so you see it already jumped to 0, 0. So 0 in my composition will be at the corner, the origin point, but we don't want it to be there, so let's just disable that. Shoots it back to its original position. So now let's find out what is this position here in the corner. So now I see the X is that and the Y is that. So let's just get some whole numbers in there. So 780. There we go. So now we know this corner is 780 on the X, 380 on the Y. So there's our first two values that we're going to put in here. 780 on the X, 380 on the Y. Cool. Now we want to find the other corner. And let's see what that is. Okay, so let's go 100. And let's go 720. Cool. So now we got our maximum amount. So this is our minimum amount, that's our maximum amount. Okay, 720. So we got 1100 on the X, 720 on the Y. Now when we move our little controller, it is now constrained to this space. Because we have now told it it's only allowed to move between 780 and 1100 on the x-axis and 380 to 720 on the y-axis. So you see, if I go all the way to the top, it doesn't allow me, even though the numbers are going up, it's not going past. If I let go now, it remains on 380. So even though you see the numbers moving, your controller, your artwork will not leave that bounding box. When constraining something like this though, so let me just pull it like this far into the distance. See, the numbers are still going up. Then when you want to move the controller back, it now first needs to come back to that numbers you put it at before, and allows you to move it again. So in case you do this and you panic, like, I can't move the controller, it's stuck, all you have to do is just keep pulling it until you can pull it to the center. That's all. This is where the 0 comes in handy. So let's just disable this go. So let's move this to a nice space. Okay. So now let's zero this position. So using duik, we go to links and constraints, and it's 0. So now it's zeroed out both my X position and my Y position. So now, since that is zeroed out, we have smaller numbers to work with. So let's go do the same thing. Let's find the minimum position for X and Y. Let's see now. Let's go negative 35. And let's go negative 40. So there we got our minimum position. We can change this to now negative 35 and negative 40. So let's disable that again. So let's find our maximum amount. Okay, let's go 35 with this. Let's actually go 35 with that too. Cool. So that makes it easier. Just put 35. So your values might be very different. You might be working with a smaller or bigger object, but the method will still be the same. So now, as you can see, our controller is constrained. And if I wanted to go back to the center, so say I do that same thing and I pull it far to the distance, and like, why is it stucking? Instead of me like pulling it over and over to get it off of the corner, I can now just go 0, 0. So no matter where, if I leave my controller, just 0 it out again, 0 it out again. Easy. And that's how to constrain an object. What I would advise is, when you do take down, when you type in this expression, open up a Word doc or any program that allows you to copy and paste, even duik itself. So let me show you. So duik has this little notes type button here. So as you can see, I store all my code, all my expressions that I use a lot. So I use the clamp expression a lot, and I use if statements a lot. So I just store like the basic, like a very like a empty if statement. I put little words for myself so I know what to paste in case it's been like 1,000 years since I last used an if statement. But yeah, find a place to store your expressions that you use a lot, even if you don't use it a lot. Just find a nice place to store your expressions so that you can always just copy and paste it in. Because like now, if I wanted to, I don't have to go write out this whole expression now again on a new object. I can just copy and paste it in. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, what you would like to see. And yeah, to my patrons, you can download the Illustrator file, the After Effects, and the animated file. And yeah, enjoy guys, and I'll catch you next time.